To the top right, we have the Zerg player in a 1-0 lead against his opponent. He's starting for LGIM here at the WCS season finals in Korea. It is
LGIM KangHo from Korea.
From Korea. Toughest league in the world.
Yeah, his opponent starting to the bottom left of the map. Down a game already. It is
Axiom Alicia from America.
more or less.
More or less. Focus on the less, I think.
Yeah. He won, oh no, he didn't win, but he won his spot participating in WCS America. Now he's down a game against the Korean Zerg player here. A great opening for KangHo in game number 1. What is Alicia going to do in a map like Neoplanet S? The reason why we mentioned earlier that we expect a 2-base timing of the Protoss player is because it is so difficult to set up this third base. Once you build the third, there's a huge area you have to cover between the natural and between the third that you have. And a good Zerg player will always bounce between the two bases and try to catch your units between, right in between them. And that is the most dangerous position ever.
Yeah. I think what we might see, since we're seeing a gateway here, is either a Void Ray attack with fast Void Rays, or perhaps just like a standard 6 gateway build. But this is so predictable, and I don't... That's one of the things about picking this map, is like, yeah, 2-base timings are strong here, but it's very obvious that's what you're going to do if you choose this map. So this map is all really about how KangHo positions his overlords so he can get the scout on what tech comes out after the core.
KangHo, once again, without the early scout with the drone, goes straight into a hatch first and then starts his pool. He knows that Alicia, as a player, he really favors his gateway openings, and he's only following the probe with one single drone. So he does now know with the overlord at the bottom left that there is no forge opening, but he's just following the probe anyways. But if that probe had earlier maybe even dropped a pylon, I'm not quite sure how much he would have committed to this.
Yeah, because he already sees there's no forge.
I mean, now he sees it, but even before that, I feel that he wouldn't have committed too much because he just knows how Alicia opens up.
Yeah, I mean, he also saw like no nexus. Could have been a forge in the main though. That does happen from time to time. Now he knows everything though, and Alicia looks like he's just going to go ahead and drop this even before the mothership core.
Yeah. He's just waiting for the minerals, and here we go. Nexus is being started. He knows, of course, that the Zerglings should not be able to be too aggressive here. But still, let's see how KangHo plays this. 2 links for now. Double Queen, of course, also being built. Then the timing lines up just perfectly for you as a Zerg player if you go into hatch before pool. Once the pool is done, the second hatch is also about to finish, and then you can start the Double Queen immediately without any delay at all.
Yep, he's going to go ahead and drop that down. Doing a little bit of a patrol here. Waiting. For those of you guys who do not know, little tip: if you leave a drone standing anywhere, obviously it's going, except a watchtower, it's going to show up as an idle worker. But if you set it to patrol, then you won't get that idle worker symbol. So that's why some players like to patrol.
This space is really interesting to me because now we have the scout for Alicia, and we have the Zerg going, we have Lucera going straight into the third base. At a usual timing, roughly around 4:20, that was when he dropped that hatch. And this is the big problem that most Zerg players have when they are facing a gateway opening, that Protoss is so strong against this third base. So he must be super confident in his abilities to deal with early game aggression.
Yeah, this is so far away. It's the furthest third I think we've had in a map pool since maybe like, I don't know, Steps of War.
Yeah. I expected, in all honesty, I expected KangHo to go for a bit of a fast attack that also helps him a lot against the 2-base timing from Alicia, and just forego the third base for a little bit longer. Maybe head into the lair first. But right now, we have this standard play by KangHo, and this is something, this is exactly the strategy that you would see if your Protoss opponent opens up with a Forge. And I really want to be, I want to see Alicia being aggressive against this. I want to see what KangHo is going to do when Alicia says, you know what, if you actually think you can pull it off up against me again, I'm just going to attack you right away.
Yeah, Stargate goes up here, well hidden. In fact, he's got it in such a place that the Overlord in the main base has a greater chance of seeing it, and in fact, since he doesn't have a whole lot out to stop, he's not going to see this, but a little bit of a warp in going down, but not at the place you'd expect. It looks like he wants into the natural. Roach Warren, though, very safely placed by Lucera.
You know, the Overlord at the bottom left is spotting the Stargate. He sees it.
Yeah.
Overlord is in and spotted it. Pylon to the right side of the map, being thrown down by Alicia now. His warp gate research is done. He can warp in units. Here comes the Roach Warren. Roughly the timing you would expect, a little bit earlier than usual, but just in time for the for the gateway. Actually, given that there's a gateway opening, not a forge, the Roach one is even a few seconds later than you would expect.
He should be able to hold here. He's going to have the micro against the first Zealots, and these are really, really fast Zealots coming out here. Obviously, like you said, much faster than it would be with a Forge expand. The Queen going to have to ring around the rosy here until the Roaches come out. Only 4 of them on the way, and the Zealots not waiting, going right for the drones.
Yeah, and you know what? Something that we have to point out here is that with a Time Warp Blade, the Zealots are actually quite effective against Roaches. People always underestimate that a little bit, but with a good Time Warp, those Zealots can get close enough to do a lot of damage. Usually you would need ranged units. The Mothership Core is still being kept alive here.
Yeah, I think that KangHo might actually just be dead. He hasn't even used the next warp in of units. He could warp in Stalkers.
There's
the Time Warp.
Not the best one. He could have done that a little bit better. If he only wanted to catch the Queen, then he definitely just in the last second succeeds. But still, throw down another Mothership, another Time Warp maybe.
He just targets drones right now while there's no Queens around.
Yeah, and 2 Queens are being built, but you can already see that he's taking on those Harvesters with no problem whatsoever.
Well, a bit surprised he doesn't just run those to the third base.
And you know what? We have now the transition into Void Rays.
Yeah, +1 arrow weapon, so he's going to go into a later game situation with this rather than just trying to hit a timing.
That one inject was just too much for KangHo. He could have taken down the Mothership Core. I think he would have gotten it if he wouldn't have used the inject. But he really... Yeah, he needs the lava, but still, I feel it would have been worth it to just take down the Mothership Core before.
You know, it's just a matter of what he values at this moment in time, because the Mothership Core out of energy, and I like this. He's just going to pressure these Roaches away.
And you know, we talked about how it's risky to take a third base in this matchup, but I feel with how that game started, it's now very, very different. Yes. Usually a third base, I feel, on the Neoplanet S would have been a bad idea for Alicia. I expected him to go into a timing, but with how much damage he now did to the economy, he took down a significant amount of Harvesters here. He was able to take out Queens and kill the production. He took down 21 Harvesters, guys. Yeah. 21 drones have been killed, and Alicia now knows exactly that him taking a third base is suddenly an option.
Yes. Don't forget that he went for the natural instead of the third base. I wonder if he went for the third base instead, if he could have done even more. Because the Roaches would have taken longer to get over there, the Queens would have been further away. We're going now into triple Stargate, +1 is getting closer to be done. This is what Alicia talked about in interviews. He loves his Void Rays.
You know, if I would have to bet my life on one of those players winning, I would say that KangHo is a dead man walking and nobody just told him yet, he doesn't know. But with what we see here by Alicia, I don't know how to stop that. I mean, KangHo is doing what he can, and the best decision for him at this point without a lair tech is going into extra Queens, which is exactly what we see. But with triple Stargate and the third base coming up,
the third base is protected by Zealots too. He can't even kill it with these Lings or even harass it very much.
Yeah, he will now be able to do some damage, but there should be another warp in, or even the recall being used to make sure that there are not too many dead probes. This is just such an aggressive build, and it's Alicia punishing KangHo for what he did.
Yeah.
That's what we mentioned earlier. KangHo scouted a gateway first, but he said like, I don't care. I'm gonna go into my third base.
A little bit surprising that KangHo just gave him the finger here, figuratively speaking, saying, well, I mean, fine, you can pick the map that's impossible for me to take a third on, I'm going to do it anyways.
You know what we see right now? We have now him going into the added tech, and I would have really expected him to go into lair a little bit faster on this map, but he gambled, and he gambled too much. This time Alicia looked at the game and is like, well, in game number 1, yes, you blindsided me. You completely killed me here. I had no idea what was going on, and I paid for it. It was my fault. This time I'm going to scout. He saw what was happening. He's like, really? Again? You're trying this? Not the same style as in game number 1, but still very, very greedy. I'm going to punish you this time. I'm going to show you why you're not supposed to do that.
This Roach attack is going to be slapped down.
Yeah, Roach is against Void Rays. That's a very,
and
very
this
bad
many Void Rays, it's like, whoa, I don't think so. Starts a little bit of Forge upgrading going on over here as well, and makes him a wall.
Yeah, if you actually trap Void Rays in a room with Roaches, the only thing that you hear when you're closing the door is a lot of laughter.
Well, actually, you might hear that Roach squealing noise really, really loud.
No, you won't. They can't squeal fast enough. They die first.
I guess that's well said. 12 mutas on the way is a little bit of a surprise, but it's not enough. He needs more time. He needs like 30 mutalists. 12 is not going to cut it. 14 is not going to cut it. Yeah. Not against this many Void Rays and also the sentries to support.
If you have this Protoss friend who tells you that mutalists are a great choice against this many Void Rays, he's lying to you.
Yeah, he just wants the free one.
Yeah, he wants the free one. He wants those letter points again.
I mean, he can make this work if he gets 30 or so mutalists, but that's going to take a lot more time.
Yeah, you need a lot more than that. But on the other hand, the one thing that KangHo is really trying to pull off right now, keep in mind we still have the same supply, so it's not like he's lacking 40 behind. But he has two bases that he has. He has one fort to the right side of the map, and he's building the one that we have on screen now to the top left. So Alicia building up a massive, massive army. But if he really lets KangHo get away with everything that the Zerg is doing right now, KangHo might be able to get this army out, the composition out that he needs. Right now he doesn't really have it, but he's working towards it.
He is working towards it, and these satellite bases can really be quite tricky to deal with. He's sending a group of zealots up to the top left. That will easily make quick work of that base. But here are the mutas. They're now revealed. Phoenix sees them earlier. He starts 3 Phoenixes out of those Stargates, and the Void Rays here are plenty enough to deal with this, especially with the Mothership Core around as well.
2 Mutalisks are already gone. The Zerglings trying to stream in, but there's a full wall. Not much more, though. Here comes the rest of the Warpins. The wall was actually not full, but he didn't walk into the gap. A misstep here by KangHo, and he is paying for it.
Oh, this is terrible, though. He's going to lose so many Mutalisks. In fact, he might even lose all of them.
Yeah, this is him.
And he defends the base, though.
This is him kind of losing the game. He's not. I mean, the supply doesn't lend itself to believe that this is actually true. But if you see what kind of investment he just lost without doing damage or doing enough damage, this is basically a GG moment.
Units lost 8,000 for KangHo versus 3,600.
It's insane, guys. Yes, the supply is exactly the same on the tab, but the composition that we have now for both players, this is ridiculous. KangHo, maybe with a massive, massive chain fungal, he could make this happen, but that is the last leg that he has.
No, this is not Killer versus Curious.
One of the problems that we have here is that we have 93 harvesters for KangHo. The army supply is 115 against 65. That's a 50 supply lead in the army supply alone.
Yeah, it's almost double.
Yeah, he got a few additional units out right now, KangHo, to close this gap, but the composition is completely countered here. Those Phoenixes can now be used to just gravity beam the infestors.
Here we go. He gets the first fungal off on a few of the Void Rays. Good force fields here as well. There are a ton of Queens.
There's a split, though. He has a split. Now we have the overcharge here. Here come the Phoenixes. They can lift the infestors. They are gone. 1, 2, 3. This is a bloodbath.
Yeah, he almost gets the fungals that he needs, but they're just not quite enough. There's not enough energy here. Phoenix is making quick work of everything. He's just going to lift up whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Another fungal goes down.
The fungal is good here and takes down a few of those Void Rays, but he needs more than that. And as you can see, the Void Rays, they do all the work. They lift all day long and take down those few infestors that are there.
He's losing a lot of economy here, and he doesn't have a lot of a transition. His army is strong, but it is slow. It takes him forever to come back to defend. He doesn't have a recall.
The overwhelming amount of drones is the big problem of KangHo here. He doesn't have a lot of army supply, and the units that he has, they're not enough. He only has those Lings and a few Roaches now at the bottom left. And all the Void Rays, they are completely uncontested now. His main base will fall. His tech is gonna fall. He's trying to
mass up Spore Crawlers.
Yeah. The supply here was very, very misleading over the entire duration of the game because KangHo just had way too many harvesters.
Yeah, very true.
It's something that you do occasionally because you want to build up a huge bank, and then you start building a lot of spines and spores. But KangHo never had the time to do that.
Yeah, he had a few opportunities in this game to come back. The Mutalisk transition was not the best one. Phoenix is trying to kill that egg will take longer than it's going to take for you to make grandchildren, but
KangHo was doing the best out of a bad situation, but all these decisions that he made here, they just try to make something happen. The Nexus survives at the 3rd base, but even if he kills the Nexus, that doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Did those Spore Crawlers, Spine Crawlers, just abduct the Zealot?
I don't know what happened with that, but
that looked really interesting.
That was maybe a graphical bug, but
David, did you introduce a new feature to Zerg that I don't know of yet? Was that a Spine Crawler abduct? David, we have to talk.
David,
David,
what's happening?
What
David?
did you do now? What did you do? Come on, David. You can tell us.
He's trying to get the Nexus. He still doesn't get it. 33 hit points and GG.
Alicia takes the game. Yeah. To be quite frank, as expected.
Yeah, I mean, well, if a Protoss is gonna pick Planet S against you, you have to play the game the Protoss wants you to play, or you are gonna die.
If you pull a red and play the game of drones, then you are gonna get punished for it. And this is exactly what happened here to KangHo. KangHo scouted a gateway first. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna get my hatch anyways, my 3rd. And he lost 21 harvesters with the first attack of Alicia. Alicia slapped him for it. It's like when your mom cooks like a delicious food, like a dessert, and you are trying to just grab it, and your mom sees it, and suddenly she just slaps your hand away. That's exactly what happened right there. Alicia saying, no, you're not going to do that. You did that in game number 1, you're not going to do it in game number 2. And then KangHo trying to come back. and trying to get like a massive bank out, but it was really a problem of army supply. Army supply, and once those Mutalisks were caught in a corner with the Void Rays and the Phoenixes, and he lost them, that is when the game was over. He tried, but even we said it, like the Infestors, it's great to have them out. If you get the chain funk, you can do a lot. But if he has so many Phoenixes swooping in from the side and lifting all of them up, you're not going to get the chain fungal on those Void Rays.
Yeah, I mean, he just needed more Infestors, too. I mean, if he had just maybe 3 or 4 more, maybe he kills the Void Rays, but the split was decent. And the final map, the map that Alicia, a.k.a. KangHo, chooses here, is actually going to be Daybreak. So this is, one of the maps we've seen for such a long time, and it's cool to have the final map of this series to be just kind of a very straight-up one, neither player having really any advantages.
Daybreak is a map that we have seen countless times in Zerg versus Protoss, and we will see it now again in the last game between the two players here. I would like to see Alicia play... I feel from how he approached those games, Game 1 and 2 couldn't have been more different. Game 1, he put a lot of thought into that build. He really had a strategy prepared. And Game 2 just looked like he didn't think about what he was doing at all.
Yeah, it was just like he was put on a map. He was put on a stage where he just played a style that does not work on that map, really. Maybe
he analyzed games of Alicia and he saw what was going on there. I would love to just have a look at the VODs that are out there and try to find out what Alicia usually does on the map. If he normally skips the Probe Scout, then maybe KangHo really thought, okay, I'm gonna build a very greedy, I'm gonna go in a very greedy opening in game number 2, but then maybe expected that Alicia would play map number 2 without actually adjusting to that.
Right, it's possible. The thing is, Neoplanet S is not a map as Alicia is a non-Kessa player. He's not going to play that map very often. And same with KangHo, actually. It's kind of those maps where it's like nobody really uses Neoplanet S as a map anymore. It's kind of fallen out of the pool. It was used in like one season, and of course being used in this tournament as well, but it's not a map that's used very much. So I guess maybe that was part of the problem there for both players trying to prepare for this map, but I mean, Alicia's build was solid. I don't think he had a problem there. It was really KangHo just not responding.
KangHo learned in game number 2 that he can't get away with anything against Alicia. So he was lucky, not lucky. He played a really great game in game number 1, but in game number 2, he just took too many risks that were way too obvious for Alicia to not counter. And the Protoss player now takes it into a third series, and we have the game on a Daybreak. So KangHo at least has the map pick, and he chose Daybreak, so it's a map that he is confident in playing. And we have seen so many also sneaky strategies in Heart of the Swarm, slow-leading run-bys against greedy Protoss players. Might be something that he's attempting to do, but we are going to find out what exactly KangHo has planned for the third map. Because, keep in mind, this is once again his map pick, so this is a map that he planned to play. And he's like, these are the two games he cannot prepare for like Neoplanet S because he doesn't know that Alicia is going to pick it. But he knows if he wins the first map, then he has the pick on the third if it comes to that. So he knows what he's going to do on Daybreak. He has a strategy prepared for that map. That is a very conscious decision. It's not like he looks at the pool and is like, yeah, well, I like the map, so let's play it. He has something prepared here, and now we're going to find out what it is.
Definitely so. Let's jump right into it. The map is up and loaded. It's Daybreak for game number 3 between these two players.